Hello and welcome to the next instalment in the motorcycle videos where I've been talking about electric vehicles. In the last one I talked about range and how it was calculated and measured, and now I'd like to explain a little bit more about that. Logic would seem to indicate if you wanted more range you just put a bigger battery in the car and you'd get more range. In the same way as if you have a bigger petrol tank, your car will go further. That's theoretically and that's logically, but it may not always be the case, and I suggest there are three factors that might have an influence on why manufacturers don't just shove big batteries in cars. The first one is price. All cars are made to a price, and there are compromises along the way. The MG51 Excite is made to a price in that it is an electric vehicle under 40 grand drive away. It is an alternative to a thing like a Toyota Corolla, because it's about the same size, and the idea is that you buy it. I'm not trying to endorse this vehicle, I'm just telling you the thinking. You would buy this vehicle and you'd be able to drive it around during your runabout during the week, doing the shopping, go to the gym, pick up the kids from school, all that sort of stuff, and you'd never have to recharge it, or you'd only plug it in one night at the end of the week and be ready to go again the next week. So in order to market that at that price, there's a compromise of saying, well, we have to put a smaller battery in this vehicle. That's a 51 kilowatt hour battery. The long range version of the same vehicle has a 77 kilowatt hour battery, has a claimed range of 530 kilometres, so that's another 180 or so kilometres on the 51, but interestingly it has a smaller motor in it. The motor is 115 kilowatts rather than 125 kilowatts, but it is 51,000 drive away. So the marketing involved there and the cost and the decisions are going to be somewhat different. So price is a significant factor. A second factor is weight. The Excite 51 weighs 1570 kilograms curb weight, and the long range weighs 1620, so you're getting something like 50 kilos more of weight. You're getting 180 kilometres of more range, but you're getting some of that with a reduced engine size or engine capacity, power output. One of the reasons, for example, I think that we don't see spare tyres in cars anymore is because of weight. The more weight you have to carry, the more energy you need to push that weight. So putting a bigger battery in doesn't always necessarily translate fully into more power, more range. So if you cut down the weight by reducing things you carry, such as spare tyres, which I would say are 50 or 80 kilos, you will, as well as putting in a smaller battery. So weight is a second consideration, and a third consideration I suspect is in space. In other words, how much room there is in the vehicle. All of those three versions of the MG ZS, I think it is EV, are all built on the same platform. But if you just throw a bigger battery in there, you're going to end up eventually compromising either on space for luggage or space for the passengers, or both. Now all vehicles in Australia are pretty well marketed as being able to seat 5 adults. So if you suddenly say, well, this is only a 4-seater, can I only seat 4 adults? You're presumed living grandma at home or something like that, and that's not going to go well with your marketing. So if you take the GWM, that's Great Wall Motors Aura, for example, it's marketed as a inner city sort of SUV. That is, you drive it around in the city, but it looks like an SUV. You're not meant to take it on road trips, although you could, but you'd be wouldn't be getting very far before you needed to recharge. It has a very small boot, something like 280 litres of storage in the rear compartment, which increases, of course, if you put down the back seats, but then you've only got room for 2 passengers. It has something like a 40 kilowatt hour battery. If you suddenly put a bigger battery in there, you're going to either compromise boot space further or passenger space. So the three factors, as I say, that I think influence why manufacturers just don't throw the big battery in every version of the car are, first of all, price, secondly, weight, and third, space. And of course it helps to market by saying, well, you can buy the base model and it only has these things, or you can buy the mid-range model and it has these things and those things and a bit more, or you can buy the top of the range model and it has all of those bells and whistles and a few more of its own. So it isn't necessarily so that just putting a bit bigger battery in will automatically translate into greater range. Some of the energy will be used to make the vehicle go further, and some of the increased energy we just use to move the vehicle, because it follows some simple physics that the heavier something is, the more energy is needed to move it. Whether it's moving at 1 centimetre, 1 kilometre or 100 kilometres, that's still going to be true. Alright, well I hope that helps you to understand a little bit more about range and how it's calculated, and the different kilowatt hour batteries and so on. Enjoy the rest of the video and the scenery, and I will talk to you again when I'm making the next video.